be on the show.
Glad to be here.
Excellent. So tell us about your new book, The Inside Story of Tom Brady's Fight for Redemption, or 12, as most people probably know it.
Well, it's right now the top-rated sports book in the country. It's really been selling incredibly well since we launched it last week, and that's because it's a story about all the palace intrigue that really comes to the forefront when you're dealing with an entity like the NFL and an entity like the New England Patriots.
Perfect timing with the season getting ready to start up.
Well, it is, and you're seeing in Foxborough for the first time fissures in the relationships between the quarterback Tom Brady, Coach Belichick, and the owner Robert Kraft, and that kind of breakup, if you will. And I'm not saying that that's actually happening right now, but we're talking about strained relationships, and it all began in the pages of our book 12.
So is that why you picked the 2016 season, because of all the excitement, intrigue, and turmoil?
Certainly, I'm a journalist. I've written 10 New York Times best-selling books, and this is the first book that really has a sports bent to it. And I was, really drawn in because of the palace intrigue level to it, and specifically the NFL. You know, we talk about, obviously, we're writing about Tom Brady, what he went through during late scandal, ultimately culminated in the greatest in Super history. At that point is the NFL, and we found that Commissioner was anything to attain power and also anything to retain it. So the book really unfolds like a John Grisham legal thriller, more than it does your average sports book.
Sounds exciting. Was Brady really disgraced because of this situation, or do you feel that there were a lot more parties that were affected by it?
Well, I think, the attempt was made to ruin Tom Brady's career. Now, did the NFL succeed in that attempt? I think anywhere outside New England, Tom Brady's career may always have an asterisk next to it because of allegations of deflating footballs in 2015, and that to me is kind of an unjust blanket statement on this man's career. I do think that ultimately Brady, had his vindication. Maybe not in the court of law or in the boardroom, but certainly on the football field during that come-from-behind win against the Atlanta Falcons. And we take you inside the huddle like you've never been inside the huddle before, with interviews with Tom Brady and all the key players who performed that incredible comeback to let you really know what was going on in their minds when their backs were against the collective wall.
Would I be correct in saying that probably no one's had this type of level of access to Tom Brady and some of the other people involved in this book?
Yeah, we really received unprecedented access to the Patriot organization and many people around them, including Tom Brady. So you get the sense of what it was like for them to go through this. And, even if you're not a Patriots fan, it's a really interesting character study about an elite supreme athlete, whether it's Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, LeBron James. You always want to find out what makes somebody like this tick. And I think that readers anywhere in the country will glean really interesting information and a gripping storyline through the pages of 12.
Usually to get this kind of access to Tom Brady, you have to throw his name in the authors category. Why is his name not a co-author on this book?
He's only written one book, and that was a self-help book about his health and his recipes and the avocado ice cream. Ultimately, I think Brady wanted to get his story on the record because, this will be the historical record of that dramatic saga. So we gave him the opportunity to go on the record, which he certainly did, as well as the owner, Robert Kraft, many other members of the New England Patriots, and people that were battling Roger Goodell in the NFL every day, these unsung lawyers and representatives of the NFLPA, the Players Association, who had to protect Tom Brady's blind side in the court of law and also in the boardroom.
a lot of people consider the Patriots organization one of the best in sports. Would you agree?
Oh, I think the success that they've had over an 18-year period is unparalleled. Maybe the New York Yankees of the 50s and 60s certainly might compare, but in this day and age, when you have free agency where players are moving around the league at a great rate of speed, to have this type of consistency is amazing, and it's something that I think we all can learn from and try to dissect and understand. Well, how does it happen? How does it work there? And we do our best to really uncover that.
Who do you feel inevitably was responsible for Deflategate?
Well, inevitably, I feel it was the NFL understood they wanted to go after Tom Brady. They put a target on his back for what was really, not much more than a minor equipment violation that should have triggered about a $10,000 fine. Now, had the Patriots been guilty of cheating in the past? Absolutely. The Spygate scandal in 2007 was a very serious controversy. And Roger Goodell, the commissioner at the time, he was accused of literally sweeping this scandal under the rug because of his close relationship with the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft. And the other owners watched this collusion play out. Goodell went so far as to destroy videotaped evidence that may have implicated the Patriots even further in the scandal. And these other owners said, okay, well, if this ever happens again, if there's any allegation against the Patriots, you got to grab them by the throat, Roger. And that's what he did with Tom Brady. The fix was in from the very beginning. All the chess pieces were put into place to perform this sting operation against Brady. It's pretty ridiculous to equate the Deflategate with something like the Black Sox scandal in 1919, but in the media's mind and some of the public's mind, that's exactly the drawn comparison there. And I think that was an unjust comparison, but it was something that was orchestrated by the NFL to really impose its power over the number one gate attraction in the entire league.
So that's more the reason for the suspension, you feel, is just to kind of ratchet down on them as opposed to being deserved?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, it was certainly not deserved when you think that players who were committing domestic assault against girlfriends and wives were getting, lesser punishments from the NFL. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, Roger Goodell, we write in the book, actually gave Tom Brady a Sophie's choice. He was willing to vacate the 4-game suspension, allow Brady to pay $1 million fine if Tom Brady would publicly throw his equipment managers under the bus and say that they purposely deflated footballs. Brady did not take that deal.
Oh, wow. Well, that's respectable.
Well, I think it speaks to his character, but, people on the other side would say that, well, it just shows you that Brady didn't want to implicate himself even further by admitting that the guys that worked, directly under him, if you will, were committing, a violation or a crime against the league. So you can look at it both ways. We try to be very objective with the book, even though we're Boston journalists. We certainly, weren't wearing Patriot pom-pom hats when we were writing this. We wanted to, follow the evidence wherever it led and tell that story.
I can imagine that could be a little tough, like you said, being from Boston, being one of the people that contributed to, say, the Boston Strong movement and some of the other important things in Boston's history.
Well, I mean, as I said, I'm a journalist. I don't write sports books. I wrote a book about the Boston Marathon that was turned into the movie Patriots Day. I wrote the book The Finest Hours that was turned into a Walt Disney film in 2016. I focus on the story itself and not necessarily, I don't have any allegiance to any particular body or group when I'm writing these stories. It's really, I take it where the evidence leads us, and that's what we do in 12.
So what was the defense from the NFLPA for Brady?
The defense was that, if anything, he was an unwitting accomplice. But, they obviously performed their due diligence, scientific experiments on the balls, which we get into in the book, and that's the granular information that I think the readers will enjoy. But as I said, the bigger crime here is the NFL's orchestration of a program to bring down its top player. Whether or not they are deflating footballs or not deflating footballs, to me, is a very small point. It's really about a corporation that would do anything it can to maintain control over its players, and a commissioner will do anything he can to attain and retain that power. Now, remember, Roger Goodell was very friendly with Bob Kraft. Bob Kraft basically groomed him into the position as NFL commissioner. So, when Goodell was given that order from the other NFL owners, this is where the story takes on a Shakespearean element. Bob Kraft basically had to metaphorically slay his father in order to retain that power, and he really did look at Bob Kraft as a father figure in many respects.
Do you feel the biggest drama took place in the courtroom, the locker room, or on the field?
I think it was all three. And that's where we show you what this player was dealing with both on the field and off the field, and then you get to the Super Bowl, which was a tale of two halves. And as I said, we bring you into the huddle in an unprecedented way with the actual thoughts and reflections of the men and the players that performed the greatest come from behind win in Super Bowl history, and it's a performance that is of the ages, really, when it comes to Tom Brady. I hadn't seen a performance like that since Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman in Zaire, Africa in 1974. You had an aging heavyweight champion against a very younger, stronger opponent, and by all looks of it, it looked like Ali was going to lose that fight and almost lose his life in the ring. That's how big and bad George Foreman was at the time, and Ali was on the ropes for about eight rounds, getting Foreman tired. Suddenly, he dropped the knockout blow on Foreman, and that's what Brady did in the Super Bowl.
So, do you feel that Brady's pretty much had to been a fighter his whole career, starting with his rookie year?
And we explore that as well. There's a guy that has always had a chip on his shoulder because he was the afterthought. He was the 199th pick. He knew how good he was, but he wasn't getting the same confidence by the people around him. Well, the players, I think, anybody that played with Brady knew what a leader he was, but some of the coaches, for whatever reason, didn't see that. So I think that that lack of respect has created a competitive drive in Brady that is, to me, unparalleled.
In saying that, I mean, Jordan, Woods, some of the other Williams, Venus, or Serena. With the competitive drive, do you feel that his rival's theirs?
Oh, I do. I think he's right up there. Especially, and again, football is a team sport, but, there's so much going on, and the quarterback, I think we can all understand that it's the most difficult position to play in any sport, because you have so much going on. You have to know so much about your opponent, so much about that very second that the ball snapped into your hands. And I think that Brady is right up there. When you talk about the Mount Rushmore of athletes in 20th century, 21st century, you're thinking Babe Ruth, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, and Tom Brady. I think he's right up there with those three.
The part that I just was so great, I mean, the whole book is, but especially the conversation between Kraft and Brady prior to the Super Bowl. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment where Brady, was also dealing with serious health issues regarding his mother, Galen, who was going through cancer treatment during that season when he came back. And there was this wonderful, beautiful moment between the owner and the player, and Robert Kraft, who I think is has a real love for Tom Brady, said, "Let's do this. Let's do this for your mother, Tom." And that's what Brady went out and did.
You mentioned, some of your other books have been turned into movies. Is there any potential for that with this book?
We're working on it right now. So we've already announced that film is in the works. We are talking to actors, all A-list actors in Hollywood about the potential of playing Brady, which is a difficult task because you have to pull off the physicality of it. You have to be over 6 feet, and you have to be able to throw a pretty convincing spiral. And you also have to be a really good actor because we get into, as I said, Brady's vulnerable side. And I think that, the actor that steps up and we actually cast in the role will be perfect, whomever that is.
Man, we had it set because until you said over 6 feet, because I was like, okay, Matt Damon, action, intensity, great actor, Boston area. So it'll be between the two Caseys, Sean and or not Sean, no, the Afflecks, the two.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've had. It's funny. You hear that. It's got to be Wahlberg, it's got to be Damon, it's got to be Affleck. And we first have to remind people that Tom Brady is not from South Boston. Tom Brady's from Northern California. And so, you don't need to have that, thick Boston accent to play Brady at all. I think that, somebody like Chris Pine, for example, would be a great Tom Brady. And I worked with Chris on The Finest Hours. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I certainly can pull up the physical aspects to a role like that. So we'll see who dons those shoulder pads and sports that jersey number 12 in the film.
Sounds great. Besides doing the books, you also, the way I understand it, are a part of an important festival, a music fest. Are you still working with them?
Yeah, we do. We do a very important music festival. It's called the Recovery Festival, and that is a festival that really celebrates recovery programs, addiction programs all across the country, and it's something that I'm very interested in and willing to support because I do think it's the number one epidemic that we're seeing today in America.
I agree. I mean, it's hurt a lot of people's lives, but it sounds like the calls and the way that you guys are taking on it are giving back and really changing lives.
Well, we hope to. No family is immune to it. I think we're all dealing with it, whether it's a direct family member or a friend of ours, and we're seeing what these drugs are doing to families and lives, and it's just devastating. So hopefully we can try to do our little part to turn the tide.
If fans are wanting to find out more about you and your books, where on social media, where on the web should they check out?
Sure, they can follow me at Casey Sherman 123 on Twitter, and I'm also on Facebook as well. The book 12 is available for sale right now on Amazon.com and every bookstore in America. So I hope that your listeners will jump out, grab the book, and enjoy just a thrilling read.
Thank you, Casey. We're greatly appreciate you taking your time to come on our show.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.